welcome to Fempreneur True Confessions podcast.
Welcome, everyone. There's always something every time. I
Always
love
something.
it. I'm Laura, or ODAA, and I'm the owner of a virtual assistant project management agency that helps small businesses really see the bigger picture, start to develop teams that they're going to need as they grow. And we're here to help with that. And Angelique?
We kind of do the same things, but we work together. We help each other. But Lady Powerhouse Solutions is a female-powered project management business, and we support women on fire who are out there lighting up the world with their mission and their purpose, and we help them do that in the most authentic way possible. So Laura and I do similar things, but instead of competing, we support each other, and it's been fantastic. And I can say honestly, I feel like I've benefited from the relationship more than Laura has. But then again, see, and Laura feels like she has. So I just think that's beautiful.
Right. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me right now?
But anyway, so that's who we are, and together we form Fempreneur True Confessions podcast.
Yes, and Angela really explained it. We're here about the non-compete. We're here about what it looks like to support women, to make the change, be open about that support, transparent and vulnerable. And scared shitless at times, but to really just step out and do that, like to be that example and say, hey, we really want to support, not compete, and really be in this world together, knowing that what we have for what's for me is for me, what's for Angelique is for Angelique, and we can have a wonderful support and cheerleading time. I cheerlead for all my clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need to model that. And so that's what we're here to do today. And we're so blessed with all the guests that we've had, the guests that we have coming on, and the way that they end up coming, the order they come in. It just always works out so well and complimentary. And yes, if you're here watching live, please say hi like Patricia did. Hi, Patricia. Thank you for joining us. So today's guest, super excited.
Yes. Our guest is Trixy Castro. And Trixy is passionate about empowering individuals, especially women, to excel in their business and entrepreneurial pursuits. With a remarkable career spanning over 2 decades, Trixy has founded and invested over 50 companies across diverse industries. Her journey is a testament to her determination, resilience, and unwavering belief in the power of mindset transformation. As a visionary leader, Trixy understands the unique challenges faced by women in the business world and has made it her mission to inspire and guide them towards success. Through her speaking engagements and mentorship, Trixy provides practical strategies, insights, and motivation to help women overcome obstacles, leverage their strengths, and achieve their goals. Welcome, Trixy.
Thank you.
Yes, we have such a powerhouse with us today. Not just me. We should put powerhouse behind Trixy's name. That's amazing. You are amazing. And we are so happy to have you here to talk about being a fempreneur. And so Laura, I'm sorry. I have to pause for a second. I'm going to mute. Go ahead and move forward though.
Okay, absolutely. So as we were going before we came on and we're in the green room, we always talk about things beforehand, and we were talking about what the conversation. And so there is, we always love to know where women have supported other women in their business, and that may have been a direct competition, or someone that you felt would have been direct competition, or they maybe felt that about you. Do you have any stories in regards to that you would love to share with us? I know you have a few. We gave you an option. So.
I have stories upon stories upon
Right.
stories that I think have been the foundation, right, of building things. And for me, it's always been more than a company, right? The company is what we're looking at today, right? It's the product, the people, the process, all of the things, but really it's the people that captivate. And so just to take even a step further back, when I started my companies, my first employee was a 14-year-old girl, this beautiful redhead named Brittany, who was working for a prom dress. She was actually asking my brother for a job, and he was in the fitness industry, and I happened to be working out that day at his gym. And I'm like, what? You're going to the prom and you're what, 14? Where's your mom? Who's this boy? What's happening? Right? Like, wait. And truly that was my first employee. And then she had the audacity to get the lead in the high school play. So now I have to hire her best friend, Brittany, blonde Brittany. So these are very sophisticated terms, right? This is my dream team. And then I've got two underage children that are working for me. My phones are being answered then. And then my nephew, who's in high school, who I pay in gas money, right? Who I would have paid regardless. But anyway, to tell you that company, I started it with a phone and a desk, sold that company to Goldman Sachs, right? No, that was not, a women of prayer. That was something we built together. And those women are still with me today. So I think that is the testament to, women aligning with women. And so obviously everybody's grown up, but they don't need me anymore. They can build and sell companies on their own, and that to me is everything. So have we been through the trenches? Absolutely. Have we seen each other through, you name it, graduations, marriages, divorces, deaths, births, you name it, life, right? Life stuff. But we've also seen each other through building things. And so much of what has happened has come as a result of an issue or a problem or a competitor. And very quickly and early on, I learned, you know what? Most of the challenges that truly affect you are right here.
Yeah.
Because if you can change your thinking and slow down and say, hey, wait a second, what is the real issue here? Not the me issue, right? What is the real issue? What am I trying to accomplish? There's so many times where your competition can be your greatest ally. And so in looking at that, right, I wanted to create an environment where women uplifted each other, because it starts in the home, right? So if you're doing this and you're competing with your team or your partners or your people, you're never going to form a tribe. If you don't have that tribe, how do you juggle all the things, all the plates, right? And so in really looking at that, it was like, let's just be real from the inside out. And then when opportunities arose, and I call them opportunities, oftentimes they were disguised as challenges, right? When opportunities arose, it was like, hey, let's collaborate, right? So I'll give you one example. One of these opportunities was, hey, let's get there faster, right? Let's see somebody who's done it already. And this was in the auction business. And let's find a way to utilize and join forces and get out there and create something bigger than just ourselves, right? Let's forget about this. You put your hand in my pocket, I put my hand in your pocket. Forget all that. That's just noise. That's just noise. Let's figure out, if the mission is A, let's get to A and let's get there together. And that worked out beautifully. On another scenario, it was one of the Brits went to lunch with a competitor. And the competitor decided it was going to be, I'm going to puff my chest and tell you that your girl Trixie is going to die on a hill trying and is never going to make it. And you might as well close up shop and say la vie. She calls me and she's like, nervous and wound up. All I heard was, he told you to meet him at the flagpole at 3 p.m. Let's go. Let's build something, right? And so I was like, all right, girls, here's what we're going to do. We're going to compete. You want to play this game? Let's play, and let's play to win. And that's exactly what we did. So in each scenario, it wasn't this, oh my God, let me hold it close to the vest and let me have what's told to me be the reaction. No, it was what's best for the business, right? You don't want to play? You don't want to help us get there? No problem. We'll do it ourselves. You want to do it? Amazing, right? And so I think having that mentality of being able to talk about it and being able to feel it, right? Because of course we're all like, we love the baby, we love the business, we love
Mhm.
the people that we work with. So naturally, we're going to take it personally. But being able to set that aside for a second and say, okay, what are we really trying to accomplish? Are our interests aligned? Do we have the same core value system? Can we work together?
Yeah.
Right. And if any of those answers are proven to be a yes or a little bit of a yes, it's worth exploring. Right.
Mhm.
It's worth exploring and getting there together. And so, both of the companies I'm referencing now, we were able to monetize and sell and, move on to the next thing. And we all got there faster and we all learned from each other's talents and skill sets. Doesn't mean there weren't moments where you do this, right? Doesn't mean there were moments that we didn't all kumbaya. That's okay. That was where you had the opportunity to turn the challenge into an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
think people get into that non-kumbaya moment or when they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to run and business is over and it's all is split and everybody goes in separate directions and I'm, like, and then it really just could have been an email or something, like one of those moments.
Right. You're
It
absolutely
could
right.
have really been handled very simply and come back to it. And you were working with teenagers, so emotional stuff that may have come up. That's
In the beginning. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
adults aren't much better, but when you're in with teenagers, so being able to say, "Hey, yes, we conflicted, but we all matured. Everybody
Well, I
grew
think
up."
that, yeah, it was probably a really huge learning opportunity for them too.
Yeah, for all of us, I'll say it really was, because it was, what do you do with that? And through the years, they say you gain wisdom. It's really true. I really do believe that. I really do think that life teaches you one way or another, right? Whether you want
Yeah.
to learn or not, you're learning. And I think that so much of what I personally have learned has been, you got to stay true to what the mission is, right? What it is that you're trying to accomplish, because you're going to hear a lot of noise. And oftentimes you hear that internally too. And I think one of the things we did right, and let me tell you, we did a lot of things, not so right. But one of the things that we did right was come back to home base and be able to talk about it, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, and say, okay, here's a list of issues. How are we going to tackle them? Forget who's responsible for the issue. Let's figure out what the solution is. And I think we taught ourselves over time to come with a solution or solutions in mind with the problem. And I think that was something that was very appealing to our competitors and to our industry. And it really proved to be a winning strategy, because you weren't afraid. There wasn't this shame tied behind all of it, right? We're all going to make mistakes. We had no choice. We were like babies, right? Or at least they were. And so you had no choice. You had to figure out how you're going to crawl, walk, run, and do it in an efficient way and be able to protect yourselves. And we learned that the more you could kind of free up that mental capacity of, constantly doing this and being afraid and having shame and all of these terrible things, the more we were able to open up our minds for positive things and for growth and for tackling problems head on. And so that was all really helpful things that we really tried to do it and continue to try and do it as a team.
Yeah. And speaking of industry, you've been in industries that are predominantly male, and there's just a different paradigm there. I've
Yeah.
been, in corporate, and I've talked to women that, yes, they're entrepreneurs, they're doing this thing, but it's a side hustle right now. They're still stuck in corporate. And so I don't know about you, but when I was in corporate, there was, and I worked in healthcare, which, I mean, with a lot of women, and a lot of women in leadership as well. But I've worked in other industries. I worked in finance for a while, and that was such a toxic environment for me. I don't know about, I mean, there might have been people there thriving. I don't know. But what I did know was women were not the dominant, leadership there. And it was just, I was seen as competition and not, a friend. I was seen as foe and not friend.
Yeah.
And it was just so, like, I was there for 6 months and I was just different when I left there. I was just different because I had never been like you have experienced betrayal, and I had I experienced that betrayal at such a level. Because I went in not ever having experienced that, so I immediately trust everyone, and I tell my truth to everybody, and it was just thrown in my face. I was stabbed in the back with it. It was rough. It was rough, and I still have some PTSD from that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So your experience, what kind of advice would you give a woman who is in corporate and may or may not be dealing with that, but they want to get out? So I created an exit strategy to get out. I'm working that plan. And for me, I don't, it worked out. They fired me, and I ended up with, severance, and it was great. It worked. It was to my advantage. I was planning on leaving anyway, but for the woman out there who's in corporate and she can't find that collaboration in other women because the trust isn't there, and it's been broken. So when they move out of that corporate environment into their entrepreneurial, how do we make that transition as quickly as possible from the experience of that toxic environment to, hey, I own this, I can run it how I want, and not be afraid?
Right. Wow, there's so much I want to say. And first,
that's a lot to unpack.
No, I love it. And I can relate to every single piece of it 100 times over because, well, I'll share with you. But first of all, I just wanted to say, like, I'm truly, genuinely sorry that you went through that. I understand more than you know. It hits home, right? And oftentimes not oftentimes, the majority of the time, I was the only woman in the room, right? And it was, you have all the chips stacked against you. Your name is Trixie. Wait, like, let's get past that.
Yes.
I was gonna say that. I was just thinking that. So funny you bring that up, because I was like, you've overcome things. Your name alone, stereotypically.
Oh my gosh, yeah, 100%. And you're coming in wearing pink, right? Like, hence the pink, and right. It's not like I was showing up in a bikini. It was still within, what I needed to do, but I was never going to look like the people on the other side of the table. I just wasn't, right? No. There was no scenario where that was going to happen. And as soon as I understood that, right, and could come to terms with that, because it was a lot of noise, a lot of people telling you, you have to fall in line and do A, B, and C.
Yes.
And in the corporate world, that is so common thread, right? You do these things in this fashion, in this order. And God forbid you try and be a trailblazer or have independent thought in certain scenarios, because somebody above you may claim that, right? And
oh my God, that's exactly what happened to me.
Right?
Yes.
Then fosters all of this infighting and resentment and mistrust, and betrayal becomes the form of winning the game in a sick, twisted way, right? Because then it's like everyone's trying to protect themselves, make themselves look better because they're trying to protect themselves, right? Because they have their own reasoning. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the people that betray the quickest becomes Hunger Games, and that's who wins. Yeah. And it's so sick and twisted. And there's this toxicity that you can't even breathe. And you feel like you're going to bed obsessing about it. You're waking up trying to say, what can I do differently? Yeah. And sometimes we just have to say, wait, hang on. I have done everything humanly possible. I cannot convince this party across from me to think differently or treat with respect or whatever the issue is. Right. I came to that realization, like, this is who I am. Right. This is truly who I am. And I have a lot going on up here that I want to share with the world, right? I know how to make money. I know how to help others make money. These are the things I know. And you're absolutely right. I'm never going to look like that. I cannot convince the other party to do it, right? And when we come to that realization, we now take the power back. And we're now able to say, okay, I'm holding the power because the power is in me, right? I'm going to choose what I want. So if I'm going to choose to stay here for X amount of time, it's because I've put a plan together and I'm choosing that. And then I'm going to do Y, right? And so I think the minute we can do that for ourselves, it translates every scenario. Doesn't matter whether you're in corporate world, whether you're just starting out in a business, or whether you've built and sold a million companies, doesn't matter. It's the exact same scenario. It's the exact same feeling. It's the exact same emotion, right? It's just in a different situationship, right? And so I think that the more that we can look at it that way and then be open about it as women, just as you just were, you're like, hey, listen, this was hard. And it was 6 months of a beatdown. And the advice I would give women is, look, number one, you're not alone. Keep
Yeah.
that in mind. It feels very lonely and it feels awful. And you just want to cry. And at the same time, you're mad at yourself for wanting to cry, right? Like we all know the feeling, right? But you're not alone. There are a lot of us that have gone through it, are going through it, and that understand and that can be that support system, right? And number three, you got to remember one thing. This is a giant game in most cases, okay? It's a giant game that the other party's trying to suck you into because it's the game they know how to play and win.
Yep.
Because to your point,
Oh,
you would
girl,
have
preach.
thought of it that way. You would have never thought to go and stab somebody in the back. Who does that? Not us, right? Right? You're sitting here going, oh, here, you want me to share with you? Here's my 37 pages of notes. Go be successful, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're never going to go in and say, I'm going to stab somebody in the back and sit there and angle and make it like a game of chess. Never. Because we're so differently wired, right? And your heart is to grow and to grow the business and the line of work and. And so they suck you into the game, the only game they know how to play. And it's twisted and it's wrong. And the minute you can see that that's all it is, it doesn't affect you the same way. I'm not saying that it doesn't affect you. Of course, it just doesn't rock your world in that same terrible way,
Yeah.
right? Because you're able to say, this is a them issue. That's what they know how to do. They still have to wake up tomorrow and still be them. I get to wake up and be me, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big statement to that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
You know?
when I was in corporate, people thought I was always plotting. Like I was genuinely nice. I did smile all the time. Like it was.
Oh, and
really
that's us.
genuine.
That's us.
And I'm just like, well, and so it was always that, well, she's the C4, she's this. And we had an added layer, unfortunately, in corporate because I met my husband there and it's a call center. So I don't know. If anybody knows, they know. So there was an added layer there, silly shit. But it was really just that is, I genuinely really am authentic. You know, when I'm pissed, I'm pissed. I don't play. People knew when I was pissed. It wasn't one of those where I was angry and I smiled in your face and, you know, like I didn't do that. I genuinely be like, oh, right now, no, not now. You know, they knew. So it was really hard for me to understand why people thought I was fake or insincere, all of that. And then when I came out of it and I took a look back, I was like, they were, and they couldn't see that. And it was really just that projection back and forth kind of thing. And I was just like, no, look, that wasn't, I still have always been who I've been in whichever mood I'm in. So which personality do you want? That's a different maybe, you know, but it wasn't an insincerity or deception or anything else that came with it. And I think that tripped me up in corporate because I didn't have that before.
Yeah.
I wasn't conniving and deceitful and sneaky and all those things before that. So yeah, that was really difficult to overcome when I finally got out. It was one of the first things on that journey transformation of letting go of was, yeah, all that shit that happened wasn't because I was fake or ingenuine. It was because I was dealing with so many people in that realm that was not me, not my world in any way. So
And you hit on a really good point because here we are being our genuine selves, being our authentic selves, being honest about how we're feeling. And, you know, there's no ulterior motive. Like we're just being ourselves, being like helpful, being in that abundance mindset instead of the scarcity mindset. And that's us, especially in corporate, because they're like, oh, why is she being nice? What is she going to want? What is she trying to, she's trying to get information out of me. She's trying to learn something. She's trying to get my secret. And it's all about the mindset. And having that abundance mindset in an environment that has prevalently scarcity as a mindset, like even as a as a corporate body, the mindset is very scarcity based. And getting out of that, and it takes a while. I know for me, it took several months for me I was still waking up going, da 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 da. Oh, wait a minute. I don't work there anymore. I don't have to worry about da 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 da.
Right.
And then realizing, oh my gosh, even my time away from my office, corporate, I was still thinking about that instead of using that brain, that mindset, that thought to do something for myself, or to think about doing something creative or whatever. And my mind was still the racing thoughts about the job. And then it took a while to get out of that cycle. And then once I did, it was freeing. And it wasn't instant. Like I said, it took a while. It was very gradual. But I think it's so important to encourage each other in that, to have that abundance mindset, because it is life altering.
Yeah.
And that's what our podcast, this particular episode, is named after, that abundance mindset, and what you said in your intake about how you feel and what you think about the abundance mindset, and how abundance mindset is viewing opportunities as limitless, believing there's enough success and fulfillment to go around. And fulfillment, I think, is key. Don't you? Like,
Absolutely. And I think, just to piggyback off what you're saying, I think that as you find those freeing moments in yourself, that translates into your business, right? Because as women, we forget one key point. We are the business, right? You're the business. I'm the business. And so if we can remember that, okay, instead of focusing on, we've got 15 plates that we're spinning and we might have dropped one, okay, let's put that to the side for a second. Let's focus on, we were able to balance and juggle 14 plates.
Yeah.
Forget the one that might have fallen off. How many people can do 14 plates, right? And still smile, to your point, and be their authentic self. Right. And so I think the minute we can see that we are the business and we are also human, okay, and we can tap into that humanity and into that authentic self, by default, that mindset shifts, right? Because now you're not looking at it as like a, oh my gosh, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? You're looking at it as, today I have another opportunity, right? And I think so often we're just trained to see the world a certain way that benefits whoever's at the top. Okay. And that's great. And that's amazing. But that's not what you're choosing to do as an entrepreneur. And as a fempreneur, you are choosing to say, hey, I'm willing to take the arrows in my back because I'm going to try something new. And we all know people don't like something new. If it's different, it's just automatically wrong. Forget it. And that's not actual reality, right? So if we can tap into that for ourselves, and we can look at it literally, like I remember having conversations with myself and like, okay, Trix, what is, like, deep breath, right? What is the real issue, right? What is this person trying to tell you? And then you take from it, right? You take the emotion out of it for a minute and you say, okay, they're telling me, A, B, and C. Of A, B, and C, how much is really real? Do I really need to tweak these things? And if there was an opportunity to grow and tweak those things, I chose to then look at it and say, in my head, not maybe to them, like, thank you for pointing that out to me, because now I can safeguard that area, right? Instead of feeling like I had failed, or instead of feeling like I had done something wrong. So then you're able to look at it and tackle the problem, right? Or you're able to then just say, you know what, there's really nothing there. That's a them issue. They're going to behave the way they're going to behave. I'm going to behave the way that I'm going to behave, and I'm going to focus my efforts on growth as an individual, as a person, as a business. And the more that we can just retrain our thinking, and I know it can sound hokey at times, but I'm living proof that it works. I mean, you change your world. I'm the perfect example. My parents came here from Cuba. My mother made it to maybe the 10th or 11th grade in Cuba. Education was not the number one priority. As a matter of fact, she's so cute. She told me, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago that she was looking through a box of, mementos and stuff. And she found a note that my teacher had sent her in kindergarten, letting her know she actually had to take me to school every day. She's like, I didn't know that. She was like, it was cold outside. I thought it was okay to just keep you at home. She really, truly didn't know. And so you come from this position where you're just happy to take whatever is given to you, to shift that thinking and to say, no, 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 wait a second. I'm not happy with what's given to me. I'm going to go out and earn it and light the world on fire. And I'm going to be the person giving, right? That takes a mind shift. And somewhere along the line, you bring the people with you, right? You bring the people with you and you say, we are going to change the world. And I think as women, we have an obligation to ourselves and to each other to be transparent, like you were saying, to be authentic, to be able to say, hey, listen, it is not all peaches and puppies and butterflies, right? There are a lot of battle wounds, and there are a lot of things that I could have done differently, that if I can share that with the next person and avoid them some of the heartache that I had, right? Then God bless. And then we're all winning. And so I think that the more we can genuinely be true to that, right? And make the time to be able to share that and talk about that and be that sounding board for somebody, the more it kind of heals ourselves too, if that makes any sense, right? Because you get to say, hey, this was 6 months and it was hard, but I see what I learned from it, right? I see that I grew here. Yes, I have PTSD every now and then, but I can use that to fuel, right? The next part of my life, the next chapter.
And you realize that there's a gratefulness to it. I always laugh, and it's a joke in our house. And we're not religious. I'm very spiritual, but the joke has always been, the storm before the blessing, right? God's gonna give you this and you get this. And that was always kind of a trap. And it's become a joke in our world. But what we slowly realized within that joke was, yes, you have the challenges and you have the ups and you have the downs. And then nothing stays the same. So when it's always going like super, super good, it's like, yay. It's not like we're saying plan for what might happen, but always know that the world changes. So there will be a change, good or bad or whatever, however you perceive it. Once we were able to see that, we're like, there's always something at the other end of this that gives us the bigger view, the hindsight 2020, whatever. And that is really freeing in that moment, because then together, as in this marriage, we were able to be like, okay, I had a friend and her husband and her, she came to me one day and she was just like, is it his karma or mine? And I fell out laughing because she's like, I don't know if this bad luck is his shit or my shit, but
it doesn't matter.
Right. So it was just very funny, because when you realize that and you're like, okay, well, one of us, but we're going to get through this, so it was very interesting bringing that into family. It comes into business, it comes into relationships all the way around, where yes, this is difficult right now, but at the end of this, and it can get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the learning curve does get shorter. But Trixy, I love what you said about being able to get support from other women. And when you are going through a time, a dark night is what's the guy that says? Yeah, who is that? I can't remember. But anyway, to be able to reach out to other female entrepreneurs that have been through that, right? And can go, you're okay. You are okay. This is all normal, or this is just the way it is. It's part of growth. And I think too, I don't know about you, but I kind of struggled with the masculine side of running a business versus the more feminine, right? Because we, as women, we do things differently. But in corporate, it's very masculine, very structured, this is the way, like, this is your career path. You have to go through these things. You have to have this kind of education in order to get to this level of leadership and all of those things. And it took me a while, and sometimes I still struggle, because I am a very structured person. I'm in project management. I like things to be that. But in my business, I'm learning to more ease and flow, like the feminine kind of, oh, okay, so that didn't work. Let's go over here. And, but I know that you struggled with that as well to some extent from one of the stories that you shared with us. But what came out of that trial was that you learned that this this idea of being a leader, being a true leader, isn't just based on your pedigree or your, college the level of education or the where you got the education. And I think that's such an important lesson, because I don't know about you, but I grew up hearing, you got to go to college, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. You have to get, get a master's degree, get a PhD, all those things. And to some degree, I did that with my two daughters. I'm like, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. And I stressed how important education was. I love to learn. Like, I could be a perpetual student. I would love to go to college every year. I loved summer school when I was a kid. I know I'm weird, but I loved it. I love learning, and I'm always learning. I'm always doing something. And I think that's really important, that we are learning, but it isn't about where you learned it, how you learned it. It's what do you do with what you learned?
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. And I love learning as well. And I was the exact same way as you. I loved going to school. I would get upset if I was sick and had to miss out, right? Like, I really enjoyed it. I'm the person that took notes upon notes on taking notes, like still old school, still take notes, still write everything down. There's something about that process, right? But if I'm not learning, I always tell my team, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Get out. Like, you constantly have to be learning. And I think that's so key, right? To your point, there's learning and absorbing. And then there's letting other people's learnings, let's call them that for now, define you. And I think there's a big difference if we ever talk about women. Do you see what I mean? So, like, just because this person gave me 15 very valuable things that I took away from them doesn't mean that number 16 was something I have to let in and define me, right? Because oftentimes there's all sorts of outside influences and mitigating factors. There's generational things, there's gender, there's all these different things that your experience is going to be different than my experience. And that's fine. But I have to be that centered person that is able to say, okay, these things I like, I'm going to work with that, but I'm not going to let their opinion or thoughts define me as a person or as a woman in business. And if you are true to that, and believe me, it's a thing you have to think about daily, right? And you have to, like, really know that in your heart, because otherwise we are all vulnerable, and we get caught up with, oh, but they're so smart, and they told me all these 15 things that were game changers for me, right? So they must know what they're talking about. They must be right, and I must be wrong. And let me tell you, every single time I've done it that way is when I missed. Every time. When I thought they must know more because of A, B, and C, because of the pedigree, because of the whatever, right? Then that's when I missed, because there's a lot of power in that little voice inside of us, right? That kind of like gives us our spidey senses.
Thank you for saying that. Yes. Listening to our freaking intuition. It's there for a reason. That nudge, that feeling, the goosebumps, whatever it is.
Right.
Listen to it. I mean, there's so much to unpack here, and we're out of time. I feel like, last week we had another guest, and we're like, I need you to come back. We need to have a part 2 to this, because we are so not done with this conversation. And Trixie, I'm going to say the same thing to you. I need you to come back, because we're still not done with you, with hearing your story and this conversation and where it's headed. But we want to be respectful. We know we set aside a certain amount of time with the guests, so we want to try and honor that. So we are going to wrap it up. Thank you for being here with us today.
My pleasure. I love it. I would be happy to come back. Thank you. It's been so much fun.
So Trixie, we're going to drop her website, and she has always got something going on. Some kind of offer. She's so supportive to other businesses. So be sure to check out the website and see what the latest offer is, because and there's usually more than one. So we're just going to drop the link and you guys can go check it out. And then we have a guest next week, and her name is Heidi. And thank you, Patricia. Thank you so much for being here today. So Heidi or Trixie, would you like to do the introduction for our guest for next week?
Absolutely. It's an honor to get to introduce her as another woman in business. And I'm super excited. She'll be on next week. Her name is Heidi, and she's been a mixed media artist since she was very young. And Kind Finds was born when she started creating jewelry on a whim and kept exploring that medium. Heidi creates art. She writes poetry. She dances. She acts. She sings. She sews. And she tries just about any creative expression because she feels called to do it. She doesn't worry if she is creating a good enough or if it brings her joy, or if she's just curious about an idea she has and she just goes for it.
Love it.
Practicing improvisation really helps her stay in the moment and let go of expectations. And she really cares about making the world a better place. Through repurposing materials and through daily interactions of kindness. After 30 years as a public school educator, she made the leap to being a full-time artist in July 2022. Currently, she creates jewelry out of lots of different materials, and she keeps coming up with new designs, but who knows, what will she create tomorrow? She will continue creating something and choosing kindness, and she is open to this ever-evolving life journey that she has intentionally chosen.
Wow.
She's really great. I love it. So.
I love the intentionality. And, that was another topic that we kind of touched on, but I mean, we just need to explore that. So when you come back, we'll make a note to myself. That's where we want to go, how we want to continue the conversation. The only announcement we have this week is sponsorships. Sponsorships for the podcast are now available. Check them out. We'll drop the link. And we're really excited about that. We're going to start doing that really soon. We already have sponsors lined up, and we're getting those processes in place still. So that will be coming soon. And that's it. We will see you guys next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. And with Heidi Power. Trixie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for your